One final race to go as we get set to duke it out once again here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Greenfly TV. And tonight we will go racing one final time in the round of 12. My name is Ramble alongside Lucas Mooney. We're bringing you all the action from start to finish here on Friday night. And Lucas, with only 12 drivers in the ring and, of course, 4 drivers going home at the end of the night, this race is anticipated to be a good one.
Yes, it is. Mackey won Daytona, Ivy won Texas, but here tonight at the Charlotte Roval, who will win to lock themselves into that round of 8, and who will be the 8 drivers that point themselves in to make it to the next round? Las Vegas is where the round of 8 will start. It's definitely going to be a thriller out there, and I cannot wait for it to get started.
It is, of course, anticipated to be quite the bout to kick things off here this afternoon, as drivers are going to be looking set to duke it out in full force here over the next little while. And I can tell you right now, Lucas, this race going to be a hotly contested one, with several drivers looking to point their way in, and especially so with some drivers not present here this afternoon. You take a look at the championship standings entering today, and it paints a picture. Jamie Lee Dunning, Jonathan Dominus, Austin Guerrero, Stephen Blevins, 4 pivotal drivers that are not racing tonight at Charlotte.
And of course, you have drivers like Jonathan Dominix, who are 38 points outside of that top 8, and Brian Matthews, who's 22 points outside of the top 8. They either need a really strong race today and hope their competitors don't show up or have a bad result, or they straight up need to win this race to lock themselves into Vegas.
All of this leads us to racing action here at America's home for motorsports. It is, of course, a racetrack that has seen plenty of thrilling races, not just in the Bank of America Roval 400, but also, of course, in the Coca-Cola 600. Today, it is the infield road course that will see its return here to the Speed Cup Series action, with both the front straightaway and back straightaway runs. It is anticipated to be quite the journey that this field is going to be on here this afternoon.
Yeah, of course, the other half of the Larson 1100 that unfortunately Kyle Larson never was able to quite complete in the end, because the Indy 500 got delayed the past 2 years just by unfortunate luck for him. But Charlotte Motor Speedway is an amazing racetrack. The oval format, super fun, super difficult, and the Roval format, even more of a challenge for these drivers here tonight.
So as we get set to roll out into racing action this afternoon, Lucas, anybody that you're going to be looking at key times in this afternoon, because there's going to be several drivers looking to point their way in. Personally, my eyes today are going to, of course, be on Joshua Sigg, who's only 1 point out, anticipated to lock himself in today. He is looking to capitalize here at the Roval.
I am looking straight at Evan Stewart, your pole sitter when we were at Watkins Glen. Most likely one of the quickest road drivers that the ZTRL has to offer. He is only 15 points above the cut line, so he is definitely at risk of losing this top 8 if he has a bad result today. He has to make sure he's locked in, and that 37 machine, I know, is quick around these road courses.
Well, we'll take a look at your official starting grid entering the final race of the round of 12 this afternoon. It is playoff contenders Evan Stewart and Robert Tester lining up 1 and 2. Tester will have secured himself into the round of 8 as he is 40 points to the good entering tonight, with the second row on the grid containing Jamie Lee Dunning, who has managed to make it onto the starting grid at the 11th hour. Only 5 points to good. He needs to get results tonight. He will start alongside Joshua Siegfried, trying to point himself in, with Stephen Blevins nowhere to be found. Row number 3, it's Ted Gamble and Brian Matthews, and Lucas, that locks up the top half of the field.
Yeah, looking out at your back half of the field, starting in row 4, it's going to be that 91 machine of Ron Olan, and to his outside, you're looking at that 12 of Adam Hogben. Wrapping out your top 10, it will be that 33 of Douglas Ivy, alongside that number 1 of Akari King Wright. And then in 11th position, it's going to be Jonathan Dominix, 38 points to the good here tonight. Needs a really strong result in that 45 machine, and Eric Morton will be to his outside in that 4. The last car on the grid will be Dean Howard in that 9 machine, starting from 13th position.
A very light field this afternoon as a result of the NASCAR Truck Series kicking off its season here tonight at Daytona. Now, here is the big change. We are bypassing most of the sweeping section that takes us back onto the oval. Instead, it's going to be a longer right-hand turn after a short straight down blast down the straight, and then a hard 180-degree hairpin. This, of course, the addition that was made to the Roval at the end of 2025, and that could look to really shake things up in the infield section coming back onto the oval in such a pivotal corner.
Yeah, personally, it's not a configuration that I've ever driven on. Back when I was heavily doing iRacing in the next gen and in the GT3 car, which the league I did visited the Charlotte Roval in the GT3 car, it was that big winding infield section. But I know from watching other leagues do it and from watching it personally in NASCAR, that heavy left-hander is very, very difficult because you're carrying so much speed coming off of that back straight, and these cars do not have really good braking potential, so you really have to be perfect with it. And it also, Nolan, creates a really good opportunity for overtaking.
Stage number 1 going to be drawn to a close nearly at the halfway point of this race at lap number 20. That will actually end up being the longest stage of the night, will be that first one. A bit of a switch up from what we usually see. Stage 2 will draw to a close at the end of lap number 35. That will be the shortest stage, just shy of 15 laps. And then, of course, stage number 3 will take us to the end from there. Still a lot of points on the line and a lot of drivers, like I said, to capitalize. Aaron Morton, the lone car, who will not look to start this race. And we're already down one driver, and that will take us down to just a dozen cars. So we're set to make our way into NASCAR 3 and 4, turn numbers 13 and 14. And as always, we're happy that you are joining us for more racing action here on Friday night, as it will be Evan Stewart who will lead the field in to the restart zone with that final chicane looming. One more time, gonna look to get the party started. Green flag drops in the middle of the chicane, and it's go, go, go! And Charlotte Tester got a great jump on Stewart and trying to take the lead away around the outside into turn number 1, but it looks like Stewart's gonna hold on through the opening corner.
Yeah, just barely. Oh, we already have a car in the wall. That's the 47 of Ted Gamble. No caution can be brought out because we are at a road course, but that is a really, really rough start to the day for that 47 machine.
Tough break for Ted Gamble in this one. Evan Stewart now leads the way as they dive their way through the right-hander and slinging it down into what will now be about turn 6, and then turn 7 will be that, turn 8 will be the hairpin that takes us back around onto the oval. Couple of lunges coming from behind. You saw Brian Matthews look to the inside of Joshua Siegfried, but there was no overall move for position, just drivers taking different lines through a very tight hairpin as they now make their way to the back straightaway.
Yeah, Matthews is one of the drivers here tonight that needs to play risky. He needs an exceptional result at the worst to pick up the points that he needs to make his way into the round of 8, so expect that 28 machine. He moves as Douglas Ivey looking down Ron Milan. He's going to get onto the curb, a little bit of a lockup as well. Positions after that, and still struggling to get his rears. I'm not sure, is he going to time there coming down the backstretch?
And Adam Hoagland went for a big lunge down the inside of a Car King right that didn't work into the final chicane as well. Brian Matthews will fire his way into the 5th place spot, trying to run down Joshua Siegfried. Evan Stewart leading the way by over a second out in front. No surprise there at the end of lap number 1. Ted Gamble, though, went around on the exit of the opening corner. This is what happened to him. And around he goes, does glance off the EchoPark Automotive concrete, and that'll get Gamble back into motion here. Tester continuing to pull away from the field behind. You can see how much ground Robert Tester's already lost. He's right on board now with Brian Matthews. He's trying to run down Joshua Siegfried. Siegfried headed to the back stretch as he will try to chase down the number 2 car deep on the brakes. That's going to cause him to miss the first apex, and that gives Siegfried a much better line and allow for Joshua Siegfried to start to pull away in his number 2 car in the battle for 4th. Dean Howard has also gone around to the tail end.
Yeah, so let's take a look at how this 9 machine, he did start in that 12th position, and yeah, this new tricky hairpin is going to catch him out, and he will drop back into 12th position where he started this race. And I expect a lot of drivers will get caught out by that turn of hairpin. Whoa! Jamie Lee Dunning's around in the 54 machine. That is a bad spot to lose it there. The exit of 2.
Got tagged by Joshua Siegfried. Now the worry for Siegfried is, does that car now have any damage on it, or has he managed to get away with that? And it looks like he's managed to get away with it. Jamie Lee Dunning still stranded in the middle of the field, can't back up because of all the cars coming through. Just now, he'll finally get the chance. The one saving grace for Jamie Lee Dunning at about 17 laps. He'll have a chance to get himself back onto the lead lap of this race. A big move to the inside. Brian Matthews down the inside of Joshua Siegfried. He's going to secure the spot, while Dean Howard has also gone around in turn number 1. This is what Siegfried saw coming up and over the rise.
Yeah, here we go. So on board with the 2 machine. The 54 is spun just in front of him. Super tricky position as he gets a little bit loose. And yeah, slight contact as you can hear there on his left side.
Did glance him for just a moment, and these 2 drivers still side by side through the chicane. Brian Matthews continuing to battle with Siegfried, trying to go for a podium position now. Siegfried up on the high side, Matthews down on the inside. And Brian Matthews will secure the 3rd place spot into the final corner. So Matthews is through into 3rd. Boy, a lot of movement early on here in the final race in the round of 12 early on. And Dean Howard, for the 3rd time in the span of just 1 lap, finds himself facing backwards. This track is not a green with AS Rock number 9 this afternoon.
Yeah, it is a very, very difficult track. And there's so many moments where you can lose it, get loose, or understeer, especially in this next-gen car that is very, very famous for not having the best of rear ends and being very unstable into and coming out of corners. So Dean Howard is just having a little bit of a struggle fest out there tonight, but I'm sure once he's able to settle down, get in his rhythm, we'll see that 9 machine start picking up some pace and start getting some nice, consistent lap times in. As we have a battle for 3rd here. This is between Matthew Siegfried and currently on board with the Kari King Wright. All 3 of them are playoff contenders, but out of the 3, the one in the most risk is Matthews, currently sitting in 11th, 22 off the cut line.
Yeah, Kari King Wright just trying to survive here, so to speak, for the time being. In a good position right now, running in that 5th place spot. And just trying to keep the runs looking forward. So King Wright going to try to close. Siegfried up front, trying to see if he can't run down Brian Matthews up at the head of the field. Bit of a twitch there, coming off at turn 14 into 15 and 16, and Matthews misses the chicane, and that's going to be a massive slowdown penalty, and that could cost him the podium.
Yeah, I believe that's about 2.5 seconds of a slowdown penalty for completely cutting that final chicane. So he is going to have to slow down a lot, which will allow Siegfried and Kari King Wright to catch up. But whoa! Jamie Lee Dunning spins Gamble coming into the final chicane. The 54 and the 47 make contact. Lee Dunning is through cleanly, but Gamble is still struggling, and so is Ron Malam. He also got loose into the infield because of that incident. So,
yeah, well,
maybe a lot of aggression here already from these drivers.
And Ron Malam having to devote him. We'll get to that in a moment, but for now, this is what happened to Ted Gamble as he got taken out potentially by Jamie Lee Dunning, and oh yeah, sure did. Just about went into the barriers. Now look up front. Malam locks up. He's going to go in really deep. And this is what I don't understand. Instead of pulling straight through and just going across the chicane, he's reversed and then pulled himself back onto the track. Legally, yes, but by backing up onto the track, he has lost at least triple the time he would have if he had just gone through and taken the slowdown.
Yeah, I think that in hindsight, definitely backing up on the track like that might have been the worst decision, but taking a slowdown just feels so bad as a driver in iRacing. You're gonna do almost everything you can to avoid that. As Siegfried now cuts the chicane himself. He does do a good job of slowing himself down, so iRacing will give him a less harsh penalty for actually cutting the chicane. But still, that last chicane proving so tricky for some of these drivers here tonight. That's already three or four drivers that have completely missed it.
Well, the rule in NASCAR was if you are going to cut the chicane like that, you got to come to a full stop. And if you come to a full stop and then go, NASCAR will consider the problem to be resolved and let you go about your day. Dean Howe, by the way, has come down pit road at the end of just lap number 4, and he is not looking to be competing anymore this afternoon. And I can't exactly say I blame him. He was having a rough ride, leaving just 11 cars on track with still 50 laps to go.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a bit of a slugfest here tonight, as usually in the ZTRL we get a lot of good action with these 25-plus fields at these ovals, but we have definitely a bit of a smaller field here tonight. And of course, at a road course that is as intense as Charlotte Roval, we probably won't see too many battles on track here today. But of course, we still have the fuel strategy game, and we still have the tire strategy game that these drivers have to play. So there's still a lot going on here tonight. It's more of happening in the background instead of on the forefront, as once again Matthews having trouble with this final chicane.
And this could allow a Car King right to close in. That gap was about 1.9 seconds. So Matthews gonna then go deep into turn 1 and nearly get into the wall. The Car King right's able to reel the gap into 1.7, but then he almost gets up into the wall and he gets any kind of advantage he may have gained. Now a fight for 8th place as well. Douglas Ivey and Jamie Lee Dunning starting to get close. Now, be careful here, Jamie. You've already gotten one car today. The last thing you'd want to do is get another one as they make their way into turn 1.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Dunning seems to have a lot of pace here tonight, and he just wants to make his way up the field so he can get himself a good finish and get himself maybe some playoff points and some good stage points as well. Because remember, he is only 5 points to the good coming into this race, currently standing 6th place in that championship standing. So he does need a good race here today. He is going to have to play it aggressive, and I think he's one of the drivers, and what I've seen here tonight, if he knows he's quicker than you, he's going to tell you, and he's going to find his way around.
You see them make their way back onto the oval before they will take to the back straight away. Jamie Lee Dunning trying to see if he can reel the gap in. There you see Douglas Ivey just a little ways ahead by about 0.3 of a second here. Will we get a big lunge into the backstretch chicane? We will not. Jamie Lee Dunning remains tucked in line. But if he can get a good run out of here, he could have the look down to the 3 and 4. He's got to run 0.3 of a second and closing fast, trying to make the run between the two as Jamie Lee Dunning closing on Douglas Ivey. Is he going to go for the send into the front stretch chicane? The answer is no. He will remain tucked in line.
Yeah, he doesn't want a repeat of what he did a couple laps ago to Ted Gamble there, so he is going to play it a little more safe and just see if he can get a little bit more time here on this lap, but he gets a really good run out of 2. Is Ivey actually going to spin it all by himself in front of the 54? And Jamie Dunning will say thank you very much and move himself up into 8th.
Well, that'll do it, won't it? This was the pass for 3rd. Car King Wright making the run on Brian Matthews out of the final chicane. That's because for the 3rd lap in a row, Matthews makes the same mistake, and that lets King Wright onto the podium.
It is such a tricky chicane, that last one is. Having to slow your car down, coming off of the banking, off of that back straight, and slowing your car down, slowly getting onto the brakes without locking up your fronts. It is very, very difficult. The braking point is not very intuitive, and we've already seen a lot of drivers have trouble with it. And the 28 himself, as you said, has had 3 or 4 problems with it just in these last 5 laps or so. So definitely these drivers have to watch out for that last chicane. And unfortunately for that 28, he is going to be demoted down to 4th place when it looks like Matthews is definitely in a must-win situation. Either that or he has to outscore Joshua Siegfried by 21 points here tonight. But with a 12-car field only, scoring that many more points than somebody else is almost impossible. Hoglin's around now in the final chicane.
And that's going to cause Douglas Ivey to have to go evasive, but that will then give him a slowdown penalty. So Ivey, while going evasive, has to give the spot right back to Adam Hoglin. That's got to be frustrating if you're a driver like Douglas Ivey, right? You really want to go for the positions here, but the track limit's just so fine at the Charlotte Roval. Jamie Lee Dunning had passed Adam Hoglin the last lap by. This was for 7th, and this is how he completed this pass into the hairpin. and he went for a big dive to the inside, and Haugland went wide to help facilitate it.
Yeah, and I think that move right there showcases exactly why NASCAR switched up this infield layout, is because it sets up for that turn 8 overtake to where if a driver is quicker, he can go for the lunge down the inside of that hairpin to see if he can get an overtake done. And on that occasion, you saw Haugland didn't really put up much of a fight. Tester now coming down pit road. First scheduled pit stop of the night, I should say, is going to be for this 22 Ford Racing machine.
So perhaps the fuel's so tight that they can't even make it to the end of the opening stage here. That would be pretty insane to see. I mean, it's not often that we get open pit stops here in just the first half of stage number 1. So Tester up on the jacks on both sides. He will take 4 sets of a set of 4 tires. Now again, that's a decision that we don't see all that often. So often in Gen 7 cars, we'll see folks even on full-length tanks opting to go for fuel only or maybe 2 tires at the very most at tracks like the Glen as a result of the fresh tire wear really not giving you all that much gain compared to the amount of time lost, not just from taking the tires, but also from having to get those tires back up to temp. And heck, Sonoma Raceway, Lucas, we saw that the High Tire Raceway just on Monday. The winning strategy was fuel only instead of 4 tires like everybody else had done. Could this be a mistake to take tires? Douglas Ivy's going fuel only.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. I remember one of my first Watkins Glen races ever would have been the fall of 2023 in this next-gen car. One of my teammates, our Muhammad Alif, one of the quickest road drivers that the CIL has to offer. And when we go to those road courses in our next-gen machine, he's one of the top drivers. And he was leading the entire first half of the race, came down pit road, took 4 tires and fuel. The driver right behind him, who was about a second behind him the entire race, came down, took only 2 tires in fuel. He passed him in the pit stop, hit that undercut, and Alif was never able to recover, never able to find the overtake for the win. So definitely at these road courses, especially in these next-gen cars that have tires that are meant to last a long, long time, like on these really tough, heavily banked ovals, tires is not always going to be the right call. And I think 2 tires is what you want to do at every single pit stop, because it's still under that margin of time that it takes to fill up the car fully with fuel.
So far, Robert Tester is the only driver to have gone for the 4-tire stop. Every other competitor has been fuel only, and they really are coming down one at a time here. There's Seattle Hawking with some of that damage on the right-hand side from an earlier incident. It looks like the right front might actually be bent out of alignment here, and he's actually going to get caught for speeding in the middle of pit road as well.
Yeah, that's a rough turn of the night for Haugland, because he is one of the only drivers remaining that has something to fight for in this not-in-playoff tournament. Of course, his head-to-head matchup for the round of 12 is going to be against Ron Malam. Both of them did show up to this race, and how it's standing right now, whoever finishes ahead, either Haugland or Malam, will move on to the semifinals of that not-in-playoff tournament. So watch out for that battle, the 91 versus the 12. That is a very, very head-to-head battle that we will definitely make sure to keep an eye on for the rest of this race.
Ted Gamble down to pit road, and that will secure his run as being now 1 lap down before the end of stage number 1. Now a Car King Right, Joshua Siegfried, Jonathan Dominics, and more all coming down to pit road. It is all of a sudden a very busy place here, as we got virtually everyone else that hasn't pitted yet coming down to the lane.
Yeah, I think this is just about the time where you're halfway in the middle of your stint. So come down right now. You won't have to stop again until that stage caution at lap 20. Come down now, take probably right sides, get some fuel, and you'll be good to go until the end of the stint. But I see that that black and teal car is taking 4 tires. I believe that is Joshua Siegfried, and Jamie Lee Dunning as well in the 54 behind him, also taking 4 tires and fuel. So definitely a very split decision on this grid. Half of them taking 4 tires, half of them taking no tires.
And I gotta say, I don't know if I agree with the strategy. Evan Stewart did not offer tires, and he now has a 17-second gap against Robert Tester. That is not a surmountable advantage. I would save the tires for when you're coming down pit road during the stage breaks.
Yeah, and even then, I still wouldn't take tires, because you think about how fine the margins are for caution pit stops. 3 to 4 seconds could be the difference between 5 or 6 positions at the end of the day. So I'm really a big fan of just taking 2 tires at every stop and alternating which sides you take every single time. Because like I said, as long as nothing's changed since the last time I played iRacing, you can take 2 tires without losing any time because the fuel takes longer than it does. It takes longer to refuel the car than it does 2 tires. But now that I said that, I am remembering this league as 65% fuel restrictions. So the fuel number will definitely take a less amount of time, but still I think the call, and I'm gonna stick with this, is take 2 tires every stop and alternate which side you take.
Brian Matthews, now the lone driver in a battle for position as we enter the back half of stage number 1. Brian Matthews and Jonathan Dominics set to go at it for the 4th place spot on the racetrack. RJ Malam has still not come down pit road. Only 8 cars are left on the lead lap after the first round of pit stops today. Malam should be able to get the lucky dog unless Ivy manages to lose that lap in the next 7 laps here. And there you see Brian Matthews going on defense, and Jonathan Dominics couldn't go for the over-under.
Yeah, Matthews, once again, one of the drivers that is essentially in a must-win situation here tonight. He cannot afford to be dropping positions, but it looks like Dominics has a lot of pace behind him right now, and he's going to have to try everything to keep that 45 machine behind. But Dominics gets a really good run coming out of that chicane, and he might just be able to look for a move coming into the final corners if he can find the draft on this back straight.
They're going to try at it again here as Dominics, slips up on the exit of the chicane, and that is going to cost him valuable time. Not able to get the run that he needed to fight his way around Brian Matthews. And so the driver, the number 28, fighting it out with a 45 in earnest here.
And this battle will continue all throughout lap 14 here as Dominic still... whoa! Who is that in front of them? That might have been the 91 of Ron Malam. It is. He's currently a lap down. That went straight off into the grass there, just as we were just as we were watching this battle, excuse me. But here we go. Dominic's looking for the outside of Matthews, and Malam might play a little bit of a factor into this battle.
Well, the fight is going to continue on as a huge lunge to the inside as the 45 of Dominic finally secures the pass on Brian Matthews. And now Joshua Siegfried on fresh tires starting to run down the gap as well.
Okay, and I have crunched some of the numbers, and I have a full playoff update for you guys sitting at home. Chris Mackey, TJ Ivy, they won the 2 previous races in this round. Both of them are locked into the round of 8. The 5 cars then behind them through 3rd and 7th place, being Robert Tester, Douglas Ivy, Evan Stewart, Jamie Lee Dunning, and Akari King Wright are all locked in on points as well because Stephen Blevins and Austin Guerrero did not show up. Joshua Siegfried also is the last driver on the cut line now. He is the only one currently in the top 8 that's in contention of being dropped out. However, the only way Siegfried will not make the top 8, will not make the round of 8, is if either Brian Matthews or Jonathan Dominics win this race. Now, the other side of that, the only way Matthews or Dominics could make it into the round of 8 is if one of them wins this race. So everybody is locked in, besides Siegfried, who can only get bumped out if the 45 or the 28 win the race.
Ted Gamble having a problem. Exit of the final chicane. Already has damage on the right-hand side, and whoopsie daisy, spins up the wheels, goes into the infield. Otherwise, no harm, no foul, and the fight for 5th remains tight between 5th, 6th, and 7th. Matthews trying to hang on, Siegfried trying to get the drive through, and Jamie Lee Dunning wanting to see if he can close back in to fight for it again. All of this with 5 laps to go in the second stage. There goes Siegfried to the inside of Matthews. Big check from Malam, and that Matthews going to get a slowdown from cutting the course.
And I talked about how Malam might play a bit of a part in this battle that Matthews is fighting for 5th. And I don't think Malam directly hurt this battle at all, but I think just the fact that he was there might have messed up Matthews' line a little bit. But he's going to serve his slowdown strategically, keeping Siegfried behind, kind of backing him up in the corners, which is kind of a cheeky thing to do if I'm being completely honest, but all road drivers do it, and anyone behind will understand. They'll be frustrated and mad at you, but they understand what you're doing. But Siegfried now, with Malam out of the way, has some really good opportunities to get past Matthews now that he's lost the draft from that 91 machine. And I'm assuming he might look for a move into that exact corner a lot.
Well, I like what we just saw Matthews do there. He knows the 2 cars behind him are faster, so what does he do? To keep him going for the overrunner, he goes down onto the inside and just parks that car like a bus on the apex to keep him from getting the over-under on him. And that has single-handedly kept him in the lead in this battle for the top 5. Just one more lap here. And now Siegfried actually being backed up. You're into Jamie Lee Dunning, so we could be seeing a bigger fight escalate for the 6th place spot here before long.
Yeah, is this battle for 5th
that'll do it.
Definitely big, and Matthews
they're
again
both
misses
off.
the chicane, but Siegfried follows him off. They both have slowdowns they have to surf, and Jamie Lee Dunning is through.
Well, he's through on one, but Matthews served his penalty quicker. Or has he? No, he hasn't. Jamie Lee Dunning's going to slip through for a top 5 as well. So Dunning is through. Matthews 6th, Siegfried 7th. And that could look to end the last fight for position here in stage number 1. And Douglas Ivey, by the way, has also gone a lap down. There you see Evan Stewart has just gotten around him.
And I mean, talk about a race of attrition, Nolan. This race is simply not about, it's about not making mistakes. It is who can stay out on the track long enough without cutting a corner, without putting it in the wall, or without looping the machine entirely. And unfortunately, there for Matthews, once again, that last chicane strikes right through the 28's heart, and he's going to lose both of the positions, or just one of the positions, excuse me, to Jamie Lee Dunning. And Lee Dunning will pick up both of the positions on Siegfried and Matthews. But the battle for 5th might be over, Nolan, but the battle for 6th is definitely not, because Siegfried is still behind Matthews, and that 2 machine looks to have much more pace than that 28 here tonight.
Three laps to go at the stripe for Matthews and Siegfried, with Jamie Lee Dunning running away up the road. The fight is still on for these 2 contenders for the 6th place spot. Siegfried has been unable to get the charge that he's really needed to close to the back bumper of the Black Rifle Coffee Company number 28, but not for lack of trying. And he's now looking for the inside into turn 4. But not able to get it just yet.
I wonder if we'll see Siegfried go for a big lunge here down into 8s, or if he is going to decide against it. He's got a really good run off of 7, but once again, as you talk about, Nolan, Matthews doing a great job of holding that inside line, parking his 28 machine there, and never allowing Siegfried a single look to that inside line. To look for an overtake down the inside there, and still coming down the back straight, the first straight that uses the oval side of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Still going to be Siegfried behind Matthews, and even though Siegfried has more pace, it's looking very, very tough out there for him to actually get this overtake done.
Well, the battle's going to remain nice and tight here as they keep this battle going. Overall, a stellar drive that these folks have been putting on this afternoon. And off the road goes Brian Matthews. He's not the only one. Dean Howard has rejoined the racetrack, going to check up Joshua Siegfried. That keeps Siegfried from pouncing on Brian Matthews with just 2 laps to go now in the stage. Here comes Siegfried looking to the inside of Brian Matthews to take away 6th.
Yeah, now he's on the outside of turn 3 here. Matthews locks up and almost makes contact with Siegfried. But no harm, no foul. Siegfried now moves up into 6th position, and the move that's been, a brewing for about 5 or 6 laps now is able to eventually happen on lap 20 at the last possible second before this stage 2 ends. And Joshua Siegfried now will be looking to secure himself 5 points when this first stage ends.
And out wide goes the number 2, trying to see if they can get a run going, but the pack is going to be having a tough ride this afternoon, and 20 laps are just about in the books. Evan Stewart about to hit the oval for the final time in stage 1.
Down through turn 8, your leader, Evan Stewart, goes, making his way onto the first straights, using turns 1 and 2 of Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Evan Stewart put his car on pole position, led the entire race so far, and besides that moment where Tester looked to move around the outside in the very first lap, it has been a clinic put on here by Evan Stewart. Through the last chicane he goes. He's going to cross the checkered, or he's going to, oh, it's the second last chicane, excuse me. He's going to make his way down this back straight for the final time in the first stage.
Evan Stewart has won quite a few stages this season. How about one more? He's going to come down into turn numbers 15 and 16. Evan Stewart, winner of stage number 1.
And then just down the road, 25 seconds back, it's going to be Robert Tester coming in second. But here we go. We have a battle actually between Dominic's and Jamie Lee Dunning, the 45 and the 54, looking to have a little bit of a scrap as they're going to come down the second to last chicane here. And looks like Lee Dunning is going to have to stay behind Dominic's for one more corner. 45 though.
Oh, don't count him out yet.
5th place.
Oh, they called it early. They called it too early. Jamie Lee Dunning and Jonathan Dominics unable to race to the line. And that gives Dominics the spot. And boy, I'd be fuming if I was Jamie Lee Dunning, because he was right there. He could have gotten him into the final chicane. He had a big run coming on the exit of that final corner there. So the results of stage number 1 up on screen now. It's Stewart from Tester from King Wright, Dominic Dunning, Siegfried, Matthews, Ivy, Hoagland, and Malone for the top 10.
Pretty good first stage there. We had a lot of cars spinning around, and especially a lot of cars having trouble with that final chicane, but Evan Stewart taking it home by 32 seconds. Absolute clinic being put on from that 37 driver.
And no worries whatsoever from Evan Stewart. He'll start lap number 22 under the yellow flag. But critically here on this one, Lucas, it's going to be quite the journey to see him catch up to the tail end of the pace car now. In fact, a journey for a lot of people to catch up to the tail of the R18 pace car. I mean, Evan Stewart's already here, but you got a lot of drivers that now have to work their way all the way around this field to catch up before they get around to pit road, where they're going to come down pit road for the second time tonight.
And remember, every lap that happens under caution here will be one more lap that's taken out of this second stage, and it's already the smallest stage of the night, being only 15 laps, as stage 1 and stage 3 are 20 themselves. So that stage, of course, will end at lap 35. But on lap 22 right now, probably not going to get going until lap 24, 25. It's going to be a really, really quick stage to see who gets those points that are awarded at the end of stage 2.
Dean Howard went down several laps after coming down pit road. May have needed a bit of a setup change, because he may have changed something to the car, because I'm a bit surprised, but he is back out on the racetrack. He's been running the last half of the stage effectively, so might just be looking to see if he can pick up points as drivers spin themselves out one at a time. But I think a driver to be really worried about here, Brian Matthews. I mean, how many times do we see him miss that final chicane there? That could be pretty devastating if that continues to happen throughout stages 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that it's a driver racing for it all out there tonight. He is currently in a must-win situation to lock himself into Las Vegas, lock himself into that round of 8. he's leaving nothing out there on the track at all. He's racing for his life, and he's really pushing the limits of this track, and especially pushing the limits of that final chicane. So it makes sense that he has to do what he's doing, but it would be nice to see him back off a little bit. You know, he's currently over that 100% mark. He needs to dial it down to about 95%, stay within that limit, so he's not over pushing himself, over pushing the car until he stops forcing himself into those unfortunate mistakes.
Field is going to get set to come down pit road this time by, and for those that didn't take tires, I would imagine they would be looking to take those tires now. Sure enough, Tester makes his way into pit road, right behind Stewart, and here comes the field. Douglas Ivey stays out to pick up the Lucky Dog free pass.
Everybody except Douglas Ivey going to be coming down pit road. There's Ron Malam straggling a little bit in the background, and I'm very curious now, Nolan, who is going to be taking tires, who's going to be taking 0, who's going to be taking 2, and who is going to be taking 4. So watch these next gen machines as they hop up on the jacks. You see all of them, it looks like, hopping up on that right side jack, at least taking those right side tires, and we'll see all of them as well going for left sides as well. So nobody in the field looking to gain some free positions by taking 0 or 2 tires.
Hey, you got a free chance to get on fresh rubber, you may as well take it. It's not going to be one of those opportunities that you're going to want to give up here over the course of the afternoon. Well, we got ourselves under the yellow flag here for the first time this afternoon. So what we're going to do, we're going to take ourselves with a quick step back. When we return, racing action continues on Green Flag TV. Stage 2 coming up. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where we are one lap to go before we get back to racing here at the Charlotte Roval in the final race of the round of 12 of the Zero Joy Race League. My name is Will Remble alongside Lucas Moody. End of stage number 1, and it'll be an 11-lap dash at the end of stage 2 here. Now, Lucas, the big thing to talk about here, Robert Tester coming back down pit road. He would have restarted second place. Instead, he will now restart from 5th. And he's not the only one, by the way. Siegfried and Matthews came down with him.
And I think I might know why. If you remember, drivers in that first stage, they pit around lap 10 to lap 12. So I think Tester's being a little bit cheeky with it, pitting a little bit later in this caution and hoping to make it to the end of stage 2 without having to come down pit road again, without making the green flag pit stop, effectively jumping the rest of the field. We'll see if it pans out. We'll see if it actually works for him, but I definitely see the vision. It's just about the execution at this point.
I agree. They're going to see if they can make it to the end of the stage here without taking another stop here. And heck, I think the top 4 will be looking to do the same. The only difference is the top 4 here, they actually might be fully good to go on the field as is. That could be why we haven't seen them come down pit road, because we did see some drivers stretch until lap 12, almost to lap 13 as well. Now, a pit stop in stage 3, I think is a pretty foregone conclusion here. But we'll have to see how this one pans out as they will make their way into turn numbers 14 and 15. Sorry, 13 and 14 to 15 and 16. Will be where we see Evan Stewart launch once again. He led the way to the initial green. He led every single lap to green as well. And looking like he will try to go for the repeat into the restart zone once again. Green flags out, and stage number 2 is underway from the Charlotte Roval.
Jamie Lee Dunning from 3rd already, looking to make a move on Akari King right for 2nd place. He's going to have the inside of 1, carrying into the inside of 2. Looking for the outside of 3 now. The Akari King right has an inside line and will be able to defend from the 54.
Yeah, able to drive his way on through with minimal issues there. Now looking for the inside as well. Jamie Lee Dunning trying to take the one away. Akari King right's wide, and he's going to slide almost into the tires. King Wright's able to keep it out of the tires this time by, though. But he will drop back to 4th into the clutch of Tester, make that down to 5th. Can King Wright try to battle back into turn number 8? You bet your bottom dollar he will. Sends that one in deep. Tester goes wide and is able to secure 4th.
And crucially as well, Jonathan Dominics in a must-win situation moves up into 3rd as well. So definitely have to keep an eye on for Dominics, and I think if he wants to win this race, Nolan, he's going to have to try an alternate strategy by the end of this race, maybe at the end of stage 2 or during their stage 3 pit stop. But that 45 machine has to try something, has to shake it up if he wants to win this race. And I believe he's currently under attack from Robert Tester. The 22 machine, as he is, Tester just goes by. I think Dominics might have accidentally cut the track and had to serve a slowdown.
Continuing to have themselves with a good, solid drive on this one as they will make their way into turn number 1. 30 laps to go in the overall race. Akari King Wright continues to show that he's got a lot of pace under that Luminary Concepts number 1. Stewart, 2.9 seconds in trouble. Stewart's off and he's into the grass. And it's a big problem for Evan Stewart. And Jamie Lee Dunning takes over the lead.
Oh my, Evan Stewart, who's had a nearly perfect race the entire time, looking for the Grand Slam out here tonight, just loses it completely by himself on turn 7. And now what looked to be an almost guaranteed win from the 37, he's going to be scrapping for the podium now.
Looking like he money shifted it, downshifted way too early on the way in. That kicked the tail end out, and despite the 4-tire slide, was not able to lock it down in time. Stewart's not out of the fight. He can definitely come home here and be able to take away race win still, but he's just got a lot of work ahead of him, and I would be worried about that damage on the left-hand side. What has that done to the toe? What has that done to the axle of the number 37 car? good news is he's got a stage in just 9 laps. We can come down and get that damage repaired. A car getting right to the inside of Dominic's, but he overshoots. Only for
when Dominic's gets loose.
Only for Dominic's to loop the tail end and then almost cuts off Brian Matthews on the way into turn 1.
Well, I remember at the beginning of the stream, I talked about how tricky this track can actually be, and all of my predictions have come true as you see these drivers struggling so much out there. Every single driver on this racetrack currently has made a mistake at one point or another in this race now. And you see 2 just right there alone in that one corner. Dominic's and Kari King Wright both messing up that final chicane. And for a driver like Jonathan Dominic's, who was in 3rd position, looking to maybe have a chance to run down 1st place, down in 6th is not going to be good, as Malam catching the wall in turn 6, it looks like.
And on top of that, a Kari King Wright under fire for Joshua Sabre. Look what happened to Malam in a moment. He smoked the tire barriers just shy of turn 8. Meanwhile, King Wright, oh no, that's way too hot. That should give the spot to Siegfried pretty easily.
Yeah, as Akari King Wright will have to serve that slowdown penalty now, allowing the 2 of Joshua Siegfried to drive right by him with no trouble at all, moving himself up into 4th place. Let's ride on board with Malam now, see what happened here. And it looks like coming over the crest into 7, very, very bouncy, and that is a hard hit into the tires, as you said.
It launched the cars off the ground. Evan Stewart retakes the fat slap of the race. So like I said, that car still has pace underneath it. He's run down the 2nd place contender here, Robert Tester, and is trying to get the run going again as Tester trying to see if he can hang on, but Tester, it's going to be a tall order for that number 22 AAA Insurance machine to get the run going, and there goes Stewart looking for the inside, and he is through.
Yeah, so this battle for 2nd, Stewart having a lot of pace, and of course that newest fastest lap that just came on the board definitely showed that. But yeah, as you said, he does have a lot of left side damage as well, so he has pace out there, still the quickest driver on the field right now, still the quickest driver on the racetrack, but he is definitely very much hindered by the damage that you can visibly see on the left side. As Malam pulling it into the pit lane, he might just be retiring it for the night.
Meanwhile, Siegfried, King Wright, Dominic's all within a second of each other in the battle for the number 4 spot. Cruising into the final chicane. Dominic's looks for the inside, no room. Akari King Wright shuts him off at the pass. And so Siegfried continues to retain that 4th place spot after problems that he had earlier on today. Akari King Wright doing a good job on right now running in that top 5 still. Evan Stewart, meanwhile, all over the tail end of Robert Tester, and he is ready to fight.
Yeah, this battle has been growing for about 2 or 3 laps now. Stewart just has to find the right time to get past Tester, and this might be it. Tester goes wide into 7, has to defend really deep into 8, and if Stewart can find the over-under, find the drive out of the corner exactly like this, he might be able to get past Robert Tester, and now he's got the inside down this back straight. He is through, back up into 2nd.
Yeah, Robert Tester able to complete the momentum run as he drives back around the outside of Tester. Meanwhile, Evan Stewart coming around through the backstretch chicane and into turns 13 and 14. Already starting to build the gap, and we're about to take 6 laps to go here in that 2nd stage, and so far the fights we've been seeing have been significantly closer in this 2nd stage compared to that of the 1st.
Yeah, we've seen some really good battles here already. Thinking back to that 1st stage, oh, Siegfried getting a little bit loose coming off the final corner. But you think back to that 1st stage, the biggest battle we had was for that 5th place position between Matthews, Siegfried, and Jamie Lee Dunning, I believe it was. But already we're having 3 or 4 battles, and a 5th one is just developing here as Akari King Wright is looking to get past Joshua Siegfried for this 4th place position. And I think what it comes down to is a lot of these quicker drivers made some some small errors, made some, minor mistakes, and that put themselves behind these drivers that they actually outpace when it comes down to raw pace at the end of the day. But a Car King right getting really, really aggressive with it down the inside of 7, forces him onto the bad line through 8, and he might be looking for the over-under just like Stewart did at Tester, but he's not able to find the drive out of 8 like the 37 was 1 lap ago, so he's going to have to follow Siegfried all the way down this back straight.
A Car King right, trying to see if he can get a run going here. Joshua Siegfried making the momentum effort work. There goes the Freightliner number 2, and the Car King right gave a bit of a shot to the shorts there, entering that chicane when Siegfried did a fantastic job to keep that car underneath him and prevent the Car King right from getting the look. But could that look change this time by? Will it be a dive into the front stretch chicane? No, it will not.
As this battle for 4th is definitely starting to ramp up here. Car King right lunges down the inside of 1. Siegfried I think just backs off and gives the place to him. Siegfried knows he does not have to fight this battle to keep his spot in the playoffs. He's just going to let the 1 go through without any trouble at all, because the biggest threat right now for Siegfried is him crashing out of this race and finishing outside the top 10. A 5th place finish is all the number 2 has to do to actually make his way into the round of 8. And there's no reason to fight off a quicker car behind when you're already doing enough to advance to the next round.
And they see Siegfried still down the inside of Dominic, says the number 45 car pulling around the outside of Joshua Siegfried, trying to hold on for the 6th place position. Over halfway home in the Charlotte Roval race this afternoon, the Car King right into 4th. Dominic's in the 5th, and boy, Joshua Siegfried's got to be wondering, what the heck happened? I started this race up in, 4th place? How have I now dropped this far back?
Yeah, either some damage happened for Joshua Siegfried that's forcing him to come off the pace, or simply put, he's just really, really under-driving the car out there. Just driving to not make mistakes, essentially, instead of driving for straight raw pace. Because like I said a little bit earlier, no reason for him to really over-push the car here. He's perfectly fine where he is. A driver that's not perfectly fine where he is the 45 of Jonathan Dominics. Like I said earlier, he is in a must-win situation if he wants to make it into the round of 8. So as you can see, he is leaving nothing on the track. He's being very aggressive in and out of the corners. And you can expect that 45 to be making some really, really ballsy moves here as this race comes to a close.
And Ron Malam has gone back into the wall, and yet again we see Jonathan Dominics pushing a Car King right through the turn 8 hairpin to get him moving back onto the racetrack. Taking another look at what happened to Ron Malam here. This was coming around through turn 7. Oh, sorry, this is actually coming back onto the racetrack. So this was when this car was fresh out of pit road from his last incident. And exact same problem, just locked it up into the same corner. Meanwhile, Evan Stewart all over the back of Jamie Lee Dunning, trying to see if he can go for the race lead here with just 2.5 laps to go in the stage.
Yeah, Evan Stewart, even with that damage, seems to be the quickest car out there on track today. And what an unfortunate what an unfortunate end of the night here for Ron Malam, as we might be looking for a move to the inside. Stewart looking for the inside of Jamie Lee Dunning. Jamie Lee Dunning locks up a little bit, and that is going to give Evan Stewart the inside of the back straight, and Nolan the lead of the race once again.
I told you, he still had it in him. Don't count out Evan Stewart as Stewart drives back to the race. No, he loses it. He loses the back end on the brakes, and he's going to go into the inside wall, comes across, and nearly wipes out Jamie Lee Dunning as well.
What just happened?
And that could cost him the win in stage number 2 here on board with Stewart. Same situation that's caused him last time. He money shifted it down way too early, and then yikes! Jamie Lee Dunning just missing it with a shot across the bow.
I mean, thankfully those two cars didn't make contact, because that would have been a heavy collision between the 54 and the 37, and Evan Stewart also then would have gotten penalized for that collision, which would not have been a great start to his round of 8 when we get to Las Vegas next week. But yeah, another money shift puts him into that inside wall, and you saw he already had left side damage before that incident, and it gotten even worse now, and it might have even resulted in some wheel damage for that 37 machine. So it's just not been the greatest of stage 2 for Evan Stewart, unfortunately, after having a dominant stage 1. And another driver who's had an unfortunate race is Ron Malam, as he spent about 3 to 4 minutes in pit lane fixing his damages, and as soon as he gets back out on cold tires, he puts it in the wall once again, is back down pit road, getting that damage fixed up once again. Because remember, he still has a lot to fight for. If he finishes ahead of Hogland, he moves on in that not in playoff tournament, which the winner of it all will get $100. So he is just racing for Hogland to make a mistake at this point, and hoping that Hogland, by the end of it, might have an incident worse than what Malam has had so far this race, and that because of that, he will be able to beat him by the end of this race. But it's going to take almost a miracle for the 91.
And Robert Tester has also gone around outside of the final corner, and so one of the drivers that was once in the runner-up spot dropping out of the fight as well. A big problem there for Tester. And this is what has happened to him coming up to the final lap here of the second stage. And just too much curb on the inside. The back end never got a chance to settle, and around he went, kept his foot in the throttle to spin it back around. But now the question is, can Evan Stewart retake the lead of stage number 2 here with just 2 chicanes to go? He's closing fast. Jamie Lee Dunning's having to save it. Stewart round the outside, back to the lead, entering the final chicane.
Yeah, and as long as Stewart can make it through this final chicane here without any problems, Evan Stewart can win the second stage in fantastic fashion after the 2 big mistakes and a lot of left side damage. Still being able to pull off this win here at stage 2 would be very, very impressive.
And now he correctly has a lot of opportunities to come down pit road to get that damage repaired under this yellow flag. He wins stage number 2 this afternoon. Huge moment there for Evan Stewart, coming from behind to take a big win. And now he just needs to repeat that performance one more time, and he will have this race locked up in the bag. Meanwhile, other drivers coming across the line as the yellow flag will once again fly, and so ends the second stage of the night.
Yeah, and Jonathan Dominic's finishing the stage in 4th position. I want to see him try for a different tire strategy here. Give him some way that he can win this race to lock himself into the round of 8, because simply he will not win this race on pace. He has to change it up, has to try something different, and I would like to see him take 0 or 2 tires at this next pit stop to put himself in points for the start of stage 3 and see if he can win the race from there. But if not, that 45 simply won't be in the round of 12, or won't be in the round of 8.
So all of this will take us into the final stage. Now, we know for a fact that pit stops are going to be a necessity in the stage here. And oh boy, Evan Stewart being forced to come pit road before the pit road is open. That is going to be costly here, Lucas, because that means he's going to be forced to start at the tail end of the longest line. That makes his chance of going for the win here in stage 3 much greater.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird mistake here for Stewart. I think he's more worried about fixing his damage than track position.
I think it's the
which
fuel.
Kind of. Oh, it could have been the fuel because my theory doesn't make too much sense because even with the damage, he's still the quickest driver out there on track. So I think your theory is much better in that he simply couldn't make it on fuel around one more time.
Jamie Lee Dunning, same story for him as is the same story for Brian Matthews. Other drivers are going to think that they can get the job done, but now this will give Stewart the chance to get that damage repaired. I have a feeling like we could be in for quite a wild ride to the end of stage number 3 here this afternoon. Now, again, going back to it, they barely made it to the end of stage 2, so we know they're having to pit again. Do you run the tank dry, or do you just split the stage in half and whenever you go green?
You definitely split the stage in half. Since we're not at an oval, there's not that risk of a caution coming out. So that overcut strategy of staying out, trying to catch a caution, doesn't really apply here at a road course. You definitely just want to cut the stage in half to make sure that you're getting the most out of your tires and getting the best tire life and tire performance that you can out there on track today. So assuming we start this race at lap 39, what I would do is pit at lap 47, use 8 laps of that, use 8 laps on your first set of tires, and then pit for either 2 or 4 more, and then use 8 laps on your last set of tires. Splitting it like that will be the quickest way to finish the race, and since there is 0 to no, or little to no, risk of a caution coming out, there's no reason to stay out and play for that.
Field is going to get set to make their way into pit road this time by. And we will try for it once again here this afternoon as the pack just now crashed up to the tail end of the field. Evan Stewart still sitting in pit road, by the way, and he is really looking to take full advantage by using every second possible to try to fix as much damage as is physically possible. I do wonder how much damage is going to be on that number 37 car there.
Yeah, I mean, with those 2 big collisions into the wall he had, I'm assuming a decent amount, and especially from that second one, Nolan, I'm expecting some toe link damage. So I think that if he wants to get it all fixed, it's going to be about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Is just going to be my complete rough random number estimate of how much damage that 37 machine was carrying. And here he comes out of pit lane now. And I'm curious if he actually was able to manage to get all that damage fixed. It doesn't look like it, as that front left still looks to be a little bit worn.
Jamie Lee Dunning stays out of pit road. He knows he's going to be sent to the tail end anyway. Brian Matthews has been caught for speeding in pit road, so he is going to have to go to the tail as well. Whereas everybody else is able to get their moves successfully pulled off here in pit road this afternoon. So looking like no harm, no foul for at least a good chunk of the pack here this afternoon, as we are going to look to go at it once again before too much longer. Take it right now. A lot of action set to come up here on Green Flag TV, but critically, there is a much bigger event that is going to be coming up here towards the end of the month here, and it is, of course, going to be the CIL Indy 500 coming on up in just a few weeks' time here on Green Flag TV. It's almost upon us on February 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern. One more driver will look to add their name to the list of drivers who have been able to kiss the virtual brakes at the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not only can everyone watch this race live on Green Flag TV, but any college student or alumni can enter this race. If you want to find out how you can enter this event and win a share of the $100 prize pot, scan the QR code on your screen or visit collegiateiRacingLeague.com for more information. So Lucas, this race and more coming up on Green Flag TV over the coming weeks.
Yeah, Green Flag TV's got a lot coming up here, and CIL Indy 500 is a race I've taken part in, I believe 1 or 2 times now at this point. Unfortunately, I will not be in the one that Thursday, as I have some other I have Overwatch matches on Thursday nights, and I kind of haven't been running that league at all this year, but that is a really fun league to run. Awesome league, and that Indy 500 is going to be super, super good. Very competitive as well, as a lot of the top collegiate drivers will be performing in that race.
More action still yet to come here on Green Flag TV. We'll be back with more in just a few moments here in this one. And stay with us. The final stage coming up in just a few.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where we are getting set to return to racing action. Once again, it'll be a 16-lap sprint to the end here in the final run of the ZTRL Race League at the Charlotte Roval. Once again, my name is Old Ramble alongside Lucas Moody. We're bringing you all the action here from the final race in the round of 12. And Lucas, this is going to get a little bit interesting. So we kind of talked a little bit before, but let's refresh ourselves. Do you pit halfway through the stage with around 8 to go, or run the tank out dry and pit with around 4 to go?
Yeah, I think you pit with 8 to go. Simply put, it's a road race. It's not an oval race, and that risk of a caution coming out is little to essentially nothing. So, you know, cutting the stage in half, pitting with 8 to go, will give you the best tire life and best overall pace and quickest finish to the end of the race. And here we go. I talked about it before the break. Jonathan Dominics played the strategic game, either took less tires or 0 tires, and he is going to be leading the restart here for stage 3. Because remember, he's in a must-win situation. He had to change up the strategy if he wanted to try to win this race, and he's doing that here tonight. And I'm glad to see that he's switching it up and putting himself in the position to lock himself into the round of 8.
16 laps will be the distance when we get back to the start-finish line. The last of the back markers just now catched up to the tail end of the field. And the Porsche 911 iRacing pace car will make its dive back into pit road for the final time today. Dominics leads for the first time tonight. A car king right second. Robert Tester in third, but he's been having troubles keeping his car up front. The big story we'll be looking to see, can Evan Tester fight his way back to the front, being the second to last car on the lead lap, right in front of Brian Matthews after having to pit early to avoid running out of fuel. Green flag is back near this time by, and we are right back to it from where we left off.
Jonathan Dominics using that restart advantage to get a great jump on a car right into turn 1, as Douglas Ivey looking like he's making his way up to 7th, past the 28 of Brian Matthews. And whoa! Completely out of nowhere around in turn 3.
Beautiful save for King Right. That's going to lock up the pack, though, and cause him to drop back to 7th place. And now Jamie Lee Dunning gets turned into the wall as he lost the tail end. Joshua Seifert able to jump up into the 2nd place spot. Robert Tester running back in 3rd. Evan Stewart hot on his heels in 4th. And Tester looking for the insider in turn number 8 and nearly takes him out.
And the cold tires strike once again here, Nolan. It happens at ovals all the time. It's happening at road courses. Cold tires simply put, do not offer you the same amount or the same level of grip that warmed up rubber does. Because of that, we're seeing a lot of mistakes as Tester looking for a big lunge down the inside of his teammate Siegfried.
Oh boy.
Although now that I look at it, I don't think that was a lunge. I think he broke too late and had to go to the inside for avoiding action.
Yeah, he definitely locked up, went into hot. Same story for Adam Hogden and Ted Gamble, who are tripping all over each other entering that backstretch chicane. That's going to let Jamie Lee Dunny pick up a couple of more spots here. Now a car getting right to the inside of Douglas Ivy, and Siegfried again hops the chicane and goes out wide. It's complete chaos on the restart.
And while all this is happening, Jonathan Dominics is just building a bigger and bigger gap, corner by corner. And remember, I've hyped him up so much this race. He is 38 points from the cut line entering this race. He was in a complete must-win situation. If he's able to pull this off, it'll be one of the greatest comeback stories of all time.
Malam outbraked into turn one, slid out wide, and right into the heartburn turn. Jonathan Dominics, like you said, leading the way, but the critical thing is he has got one hell of an opponent trying to close him in. Evan Stewart has nothing between him and the race lead, and he's only 3 seconds back. All of a sudden, the question of can he fight his way through turns into can he just make it one more spot?
Yeah, and especially because he was able to repair all of that damage during that stage 2 caution break. He has a lot more pace in that 37 machine now, and just in 2 corners alone, Nolan, he picked up about 3 to 4 tenths of a second. And now he's getting even more time, as there must have been a problem for Jonathan Dominics, as he just lost a second and a half in the last probably 20 seconds or so.
And so the battle will remain as they cruise their way on through the closing laps of this one this afternoon. Robert Tester once again second place, and he's run down half that gap in just 1 lap to Jonathan Dominics, continuing to quickly close into your race lead. Evan Stewart, keep in mind, is for the most part pretty safe and sound in the points lead as it is. Not the points lead, mind you, but he's pretty safe in the points. Like, he's got enough stage points that he can get into the stage by that alone. Jonathan Dominics is the driver who we could see getting the elbows out, because he either wins this race or is sent packing, so why not go for a few cheeky blocks?
Yeah, at this point now, with how few drivers we have remaining in this field today, everybody except Joshua Siegfried is currently locked into the playoffs, no matter what happens. So that being Tester, Douglas Ivy, Evan Stewart, Jamie Lee Dunning, Akari King Wright, all of those guys are locked into the playoffs, and the only one at risk of actually dropping out of this round of 8 is Joshua Siegfried. And the only way that'll happen is if Dominics or Brian Matthews actually end up winning this race. So you're completely right. Stewart is 100% good, and no matter what happens, will not miss the round of 8. But at the end of the day, I know he wants that win. He wasn't able to find it in Watkins, where he was definitely the quickest car on track. He's going to want to find it here around the Roval.
Stewart is there. He's only half a second back now. So Stewart is caught up. The question is, how do you pass him? The last thing you want to do is send him off the racetrack. But Jonathan Dominic is going to try to make that car as wide as possible. Evan Stewart cruising on through. Can he make the look into turn 8? No. Dominic covers him off, but he swings too wide, and that opens up the door. Stewart to the inside, and he's going to look to take the lead away in NASCAR 1 and 2.
Yeah, down that back straight they go. Dominics just isn't going to have the speed entering NASCAR turns 1 and 2, as Nolan said, and unfortunately for the 45, it looks like his Cinderella run might be over, and it's all in the hands of Evan Stewart now. If he makes a mistake, that is the only way Dominics can get back in this race. As further behind, Siegfried might be looking for a move on Brian Matthews.
Yeah, he sure did. This was a few seconds ago, right before that pass for the lead. Matthews swung wide through turn 4. Matthews said, "Thank you very much. Let me take that spot away from you." And already, Jonathan Dominic has dropped back almost a second and a half. Meanwhile, here comes Douglas Ivy. Ivy making a really early pit stop here on this one. Now, this is right on the threshold where he can go to make it to the end. He's not the only one, by the way. Car King Ryan coming down as well. They're going for a massive undercut on the field.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting because we talked about either running it out until you're out of fuel or splitting the stage in half. We didn't really think about the earlier pit stop, but simply put, it's because I don't really see an advantage to it. I mean, if you're going for 4 tires like they are right now, you might as well just run those tires out as much as possible. So, I mean, as you see, they both come down, taking right sides only, and I believe they're also teammates as well for IV Incorporated, so they're definitely talking about the strategy together. It's just interesting to see that a strategy that neither of us really thought about is going to be played out here by Car King and Douglas Ivy, 2 of your quickest drivers that are left in the playoffs.
So that leaves the lone fight on the track now between Joshua Siegfried and Brian Matthews. The number 2 and the number 28 going to run in lockstep with one another as they'll make their way to the pit lane, this time by not wanting to be outdone with the undercut strategy, so they are also going to be coming down this time through. And they're not the only ones. Robert Tester's in as well, leaving just the top 2 staying out. And Jamie Lee Dunning.
Yeah, so a lot of people opting for this early pit stop strategy that Nolan and I really didn't see coming at all. And as you said, it would be Evan Stewart, Dominic's, and Jamie Lee Dunning going to be the only 3 cars that haven't come down pit lap that, of course, or haven't come down pit road that, of course, remain on this lead lap here. And let's see, is it going to be 4 tires or 2 for these guys that pit? For Tester, it looks like 4, but for Siegfried, it looks like 2. So still a split strategy even among these 2 teammates.
Siegfried on fuel only, Tester on 4. A Car King Right, interestingly enough, taking only 2 tires. You did see that car go up with the jacks. Sorry, Brian Matthews taking 2 tires. So you saw them go up on the jacks, but they only took right side tires. That's why they have 9 seconds in the box for Matthews, Ivy, and for Akari King Right. So quite a few drivers here on some unique pit strategies. Now we wait to see what the top 3 is going to do. Stewart stays out for 1 more. Dominic's is in.
Here comes the 45, the driver that all of the buzz is currently around, the driver that has the best chance of winning this race and locking himself into the round of 8 that is currently outside of that top 8 right now. He's going to come down pit road, and he needs this to be a very, very clean stop. And if I'm him, I am not taking tires. I'm doing fuel only, and I agree with this decision 100%, Nolan. You need to make up as much time on Evan Stewart as you can in the pits. And the best way to do that is by not taking any tires at all.
So the question will now be, does Evan Stewart also take fuel only, or does he opt to instead go for 4 tires? If he goes for fuel only, then I think it's a done deal. Evan Stewart wins this. But if he takes tires all of a sudden, not so certain on that run. The closest driver to Dominic's on fresh tires is Robert Chester, but he's 12 seconds behind. That's a lot of time to make up with only 10 laps.
Yeah, and of course, you always have to keep in mind, catching is one thing, but passing is a completely another, especially at Charlotte Roval. Passing is very, very difficult as there aren't too many long straights. So even if Tester was able to make up that 12-second gap, getting around Dominic's will be very, very difficult. But here comes Evan Stewart down pit road, and Nolan, will he take 2, will he take 4, or will he take none? It's going to decide a lot of how the end of this race plays out, and I think he might go for all 4 tires here.
14 seconds back is Jonathan Dominic's, quickly closing in the advantage here. And Stewart taking fuel only here. Stewart goes fuel only, and that should be the race-winning strategy unless he has a big spin at some point throughout this race. But he's going to leave pit road over 5 seconds clear of Dominic's.
Yeah, it looks like my prediction was wrong. It was more of a hopeful prediction than a true prediction, because I would have loved to see Evan Stewart take 4 tires and lose a track position to Dominic's and have to chase down Dominic's for the win of this race. I think that would have been a really exciting, really thrilling way to end the round of 12. But of course, Evan Stewart doing the smart thing, taking fuel only, and keeping himself in the lead, holding on to that track position. As behind it looks like the 2 Penske Racing teammates battling it out for 3rd place, or at least staying very close to each other for this final podium position.
Yeah, Joshua Siegfried and Robert Tester still scrapped for the final podium position. You saw Siegfried went in hot in the turn 8, went really wide. That lets Robert Tester now get a huge run of steam through 9 and 10, and he's going to take the 3rd place spot away, entering the backstretch chicane through turns 12 and 13. And boy, that could be big for Tester, because he also is able to fight his way into the number 3 spot. Was already looking secure, but it'd be good to at least cap off the round of 12 with a podium.
Yeah, momentum is definitely a thing, as Matthews in the must-win situation, currently down in 8th, looking like he's having a bit of trouble behind. But yeah, as I was saying, momentum is 100% a thing, and ending off the round of 12 with the podium is definitely a big confidence boost into the round of 8. And yeah, big old slide there, entering that 2nd to final chicane, and that's going to inhibit the 28's progress even, or just that much bit more, or however that phrase goes again. I've kind of lost my words here, I can't lie.
And there goes Siegfried and Akari King Wright, now fighting for 4th and 5th. So Siegfried, has gone from fighting with Robert Tester at podium. All of a sudden, I think he's had a slide somewhere, because now he has dropped all the way back 4.5 seconds, and he's right in the clutches of Akari King Wright. Also on 2 fresh Goodyears on the right-hand side of that car. Siegfried again goes wide, but this time, unlike Tester, King Wright can't capitalize.
Yeah, not only is momentum a thing in the overarching championship, the overarching playoffs, but momentum is also a thing in each race, one by one. And it looks like Siegfried, after losing that position to his teammate Robert Tester, it looks like his momentum is on a downward swing, a backwards momentum at the moment. And he lost the position to Tester. That kind of backed him up into the waiting arms of Akari King Wright, and he's kind of lost his confidence, lost his pace here with 7 to go at the Charlotte Roval, and that might, just might, allow Akari King Wright to make that pass and to look for 4th position.
Yeah, trying 4, but still not able to secure 7 laps the distance. Time very quickly running out here for Siegfried and Akari King Wright to both try to make this move. Adam Hoagland having a moment. This is what happened to him through turn number 2, it looks like. Make that turn 3. Yep, back end goes around. But he does keep it out of the tires. Gamble runs out wide here, Lucas, and that lets Akari King Wright try to get the drive back on him. 0.7 of a second. And the gap continues to close.
Yeah, once again, this track proving very, very tricky for these drivers out there. And Hoagland having that mistake is going to put him at more of a risk of losing this battle to Ron Milan. But as Milan is 11 laps down and Hoagland is only 4 laps down, and with there only being 6 laps to go in this race, I think it is very safe to say that Hoagland has officially beaten Ron Milan, and he will be moving in to the semi-finals in that not-in playoff tournament. So I can run through the 4 drivers who are making their way into the semi-finals, and those, of course, are going to be Chris Gaxel, Ted Gamble, Adam Hoagland, and Samuel Longworth. Those 4 drivers will be competing it out for $100 in the round of 8 and for that championship 4 race. But here we go now. Brian Matthews, I believe, Akari King Wright looking around the outside of Joshua Siegfried. Into turn 3 they go. Gonna stay side by side through 4, but Siegfried using that inside line to good effect is going to be able to hold the position.
Yeah, Siegfried holds on for just one more corner here, and that continues to keep this fight alive. King Wright going to try to look for a dive here into turn number 80. Telegraphs that move early. Dives to the inside. Siegfried swings out wide. King Wright's got to take a tighter exit, and he won't have the exit speed to be able to do anything about it. So Joshua Siegfried pulls the gap back to over half a second.
Yeah, and as this is the one remaining battle out here on the track between Joshua Siegfried and Akari King Wright, that is what is going to be all of the action here tonight, because Evan Stewart, unfortunately for Jonathan Dominic's playoff run, is currently 8 seconds ahead of that 45 machine, and that battle might be as good as dead unless that 37 makes a mistake or Dominic's finds some unwilling amount of pace. But here he goes, Siegfried makes a mistake into the final corner, and with a slowdown penalty, that might be what Akari King Wright needs to, make his way into 4th.
And Adam Hogland caught again for speeding on the way into pit road. Tough break for him, as boy, his day just goes from bad to worse. So Hogland's day going to be effectively over as he'll come down to pit road for a second stop on this green flag run. Douglas Ivey overshot the final chicane, and that allows Brian Matthews through into 7th.
Yeah, but as Matthews is currently 38 seconds off the lead and in a must-win position, the 7th place will probably come to no good effect, unfortunately, for that 28 machine, as he will not be making it into the round of 8 unless he can find some insane time to win this race with only 5 laps to go. But Douglas Ivey still looking a little bit shaky out there, and you can tell he's got a lot of front left damage, which is definitely heavily impacting the aero of that 33 machine.
Time is running out. Only a handful of laps left. Joshua Siegfried still trying to close the gap on the Akari King Wright. Douglas Ivey also trying to run down Brian Matthews. Let's ride him over with Ivey. We'll let you feel the noise on Green Flag TV with only 4 laps to go. 2 laps to go for Evan Stewart up at the head of the field. And while the fight between Douglas Ivey and Brian Matthews has gone to a close, not much more to really be said about it. We know why the fight was brought to a close. We were on board with him as Evan Stewart continues to get the run going.
Yeah, and Jamie Lee Dunning as well, coming down pit road for assumedly the last time this race for the 54 machine. He's going to just top up on fuel one last time before this race comes to a close. Probably no tires on this stop, fuel only, good old splash and dash, and he'll be right on his way, but he will most likely drop down to 8th place because of it.
Overall, the battle's continuing on as per the norm, and well, as I say that, Douglas Ivey has actually managed to get back around Jamie Lee Dunning somehow, or not. I'm not sure how this happened, considering Jamie Lee Dunning was way out in front, and well, could that be because Jamie Lee Dunning was perhaps in pit road? That would explain it.
Yeah, that would definitely explain it there, Nolan. But yeah, Evan Stewart now going to be the first driver to take this white flag. 13.3 seconds ahead of Jonathan Dominics. Evan Stewart completely dominated stage 1. Had a couple hiccups in stage 2. Able to win it in the end, or able to win it in the end still through all that. In stage 3, looking as dominant as the first.
Evan Stewart working this track for the final lap today. Douglas Ivey pulls to the side and allows Jamie Lee Dunning back through. Evan Stewart has been putting on a stellar performance today. Won stage 1 handily. It was looking nervy for stage number 2 when he crashed and was sent back to 5th place. Was able to find his way back and recover the run enough. Got EOL to start off stage 3, but lucked out with a mass chunk of the field going wide or spinning out to put himself into the lead. And now Stewart will work his way through turns 13 and 14 for the final time today. And it is no contest. Evan Stewart will win and lock himself into the round of 8 to close out the round of 12.
Magnificent race here from Evan Stewart tonight, winning both stages and the race in the end. We're going to get a replay. This is Jamie Lee Dunning looping it out of pit road. That's a big hit into the outside wall of turn 2 as Adam Hogland passes. Not the best end of the race for the 54 machine, but even through all of that, he still will be making his way into the round of 8.
And Douglas Ivey having problems of his own to allow Jamie Lee Dunning right back through for the spot. Talk about trading that back and forth and back and forth. Ivey might have a problem. He might be nursing that car. He might be looking to be almost running out of fuel. Gamble swings out wide, and I think I was on the cusp of running out. He's 11 laps on that stint. I think he might be out of fuel here, Lucas.
Yeah,
or at least almost.
End of the night, yeah, for Douglas Ivey is he is almost completely out of fuel here tonight, as he's just trying to get this 33 machine around with whatever gas he has left in it, and someone's engine just blew up. Don't know whose that would have been, but all said and done, Ivey still be able to finish in 8 on the lead lap.
Boy, that was a journey there to get to the end. That final lap was something in of itself as they kept trading back and forth for the spots. But meanwhile, coming to the end of the round of 12, it's Evan Stewart taking home the #1 spot ahead of Jonathan Dominics. Robert Tester secures 3rd, King Wright in 4th. Siegfried rounds out the top 5, and Brian Matthews with the top half of the field, Lucas.
Jamie Lee Dunning will bring his 54 machine home in 7th place. And behind Douglas Ivey, last car on the lead lap in 8th. Behind him then, Ted Gamble, Adam Hogland wrap out your top 10. And then your final 3 cars on the grid is going to be Dean Howard, Ron Malam, and Eric Morton. The 4 didn't actually start this race.
And that is going to be that then here this afternoon, as that brings this race to a close after quite a lot of dramas there right in the midfield. We'll get the chance now to take a rundown of your top 3 finishers here at the end of the day. And it was a stellar afternoon for Evan Stewart, who was able to come home number 1 this afternoon. Did everything right this afternoon, and he will win not just both stages, but the win as well to lock himself into the round of 8. And Evan, what a run that you had here this afternoon. It's yet another race win, but boy, it was looking a little bit nervous there at the start and the end of stage 2. You crashed in that second stage, was able to fight back to win it, but then you got black flagged, and then, of course, you were up to second by the end of the first lap of stage 3. Talk us through it.
So yeah, I have this little double downshift issue with my wheel. So that's been playing a big part in it. That's what happened to me at Nashville. Whenever I wreck, but come out after the pits, it doesn't happen all the time, but it just happens very, very like randomly, and it happened to me twice today. So that's not ideal, but I love road course racing, so it's kind of hard not to just fight through it. And at the end of the day, I need a new wheel, and if you want a wheel, do not buy a Logitech.
Well, you were still able to come out of this one with a solid race win. You were looking pretty good on points as it was, but obviously it must feel good to lock yourself into the round of 8, especially at a road course like a bit of a wild card like this.
Yeah, like I said before, like this road course racing is kind of my background, so it's kind of expected for me to be up here, or at least winning, if I don't wreck or get wrecked. So, I like the Roval. It's one of my top 3 favorite road courses. So, I don't find them too awful.
Well, coming up over the next few weeks, there's no more road courses on the season. It's going to be Vegas, Auto Club, and Martinsville. 3 races, each one more wild than the last. How do you think you're going to be able to survive the round of 8 in order to fight your way into the final 4?
Well, so there is a short track in there, and I've been pretty good at the short tracks, so I could hopefully pull out a win at Martinsville. And then I also do love me some Vegas, so I'm hoping to be a good contender there as well. And then Auto Club, it's not my best. I'm not really good at the big track. I can't talk. I'm not really too good at the big tracks, but we'll see how we can manage there and get some points.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck then throughout the round of 8 coming on up. Congratulations on taking home a stellar drive this afternoon, Evan, and we will see you next time out at Vegas.
Thank you, guys.
Evan Stewart comes home number 1. Lucas, you've managed to catch up to our second place finisher, Jonathan Dominics. A valiant effort, but I believe he will be out of the round of 8 here today.
Yeah, welcome, Jonathan Dominics. Congratulations on the second place, but I'm sure it is a bit of a sour taste in your mouth as you were so close to locking yourself into the round of 8, but just couldn't quite do it in the end. Talk us through that last stage there.
Well, I restarted P1 there. I knew I had nothing for Evan. He's just amazing at road courses. So, but yeah, I restarted P1. There must have been a wreck behind me, and then that gave me that 10-second gap, and I was just able to maintain it through the rest of the stage. I knew if I maintained it that I'd be able to get that P2 finish, no problem.
Yeah, Evan Stewart was super quick out there today, and I love the decisions you made to not take tires and see if you could gain some track position on Evan Stewart. But yeah, he just had a lot of pace out there today. And talk us through how you try to take on an opponent like that who has more pace than you, but you also know that you have to beat them to move on.
I practiced a few times throughout the week, just trying to get my times down. I originally started at a 128 and managed to get it down to a 124 during practice. So you can only control what you can control, right? So my main goal was just to come in here and run consistent and clean laps. And if Evan somehow got involved in a wreck, that would be, beneficial to me. But he also came in, ran some clean laps, and just had more pace than I did.
Yeah, I think that's a really good mentality to bring into this race, and a really good mentality for practice overall. And before I send you off, do you have anybody you'd like to thank or shout out for the second place here tonight?
Shout out to my KMG teammates, Jamie. You know, we were practicing together, so he helped me a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to come and speak with us, and I will wish you all the luck next week at Las Vegas.
Thank you.
All right. Now send it back over to Nolan, who has caught up with your third place finisher, Robert Tester, for
Robert Tester comes on number 3 this afternoon, and he will be one of the 8 drivers who will look to fight it out for the next 3 weeks. Robert, that race was a bit of a struggle for a lot of drivers, but you're able to wrangle that number 22 into a podium here this afternoon after fighting it out with a Car King, right? Talk us through the 55-lap brawl here at the Roval.
Oh man, that was the biggest endurance test I've ever had on this simulator. That's the first real race I've ever had here at the Roval. So, yeah, I'm sweating. I'm tired. I'm ready for bed. I am worn out.
Well, we saw you being able to lock your way into the round of 12 pretty early on through the round of 16. However, this time you had to point your way in instead to the next round of eliminations. So quite a few drivers showing that, hey, they're not going to go quietly here, but you're able to put a lot of them down and out. And how do you feel now being locked into the round of 8?
Well, we got 3 tracks coming up that I'm really good at, so very comfortable with those tracks. So hoping for a big, some big points coming my way. Maybe a win or 2, hopefully, maybe. We'll see how it goes. I haven't had the best of luck in the playoffs yet, so hopefully this podium changes everything and we get back to the right track.
Well, looking forward then into the next few weeks, it's Vegas, it's Fontana, it's Martinsville. Which one of those 3 tracks would you say is your best chance to try to secure a run into the Final 4?
I'd say all 3. I really enjoy all 3, but if I had to pick one, probably Auto Club. That's a fun track, just like Michigan.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again. Congratulations on taking home 3rd place this afternoon, and we'll see you next time out.
Oh yeah, thank you guys. See you next week.
Robert Tester comes home number 3 this afternoon, and Lucas, that is going to bring our race tonight to a close. Quite a ride that we had this afternoon, but still a long way to go. The final 4 is only about a month away. For now, 3 more races to lock out the next 4 drivers.
Yeah, we're going to have a great round of 8 here, of course, being kicked off next week at Las Vegas, and then Auto Club in Martinsville to finish it off. Make sure you guys are joining us these next 3 weeks, Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, so you do not miss any of the ZTRL racing action.
Still more action yet to be had here on Green Flag TV as well. When we return on Green Flag TV, it is going to be out at the SRA IL Truck Series at Texas Motor Speedway. The Belgian Sim Racing Federation will be out in Spain alongside the Collegiate Irish League Cup Series at Daytona and the High Time Racing League at New Hampshire. The Aspire Race Series returns after a 1-week hiatus. They will be at Road America alongside the Mid-Atlantic Race Series at Homestead. And then, of course, it's the Cyber Thunder Racing League's Daytona Duels, who will be swinging out for a quadruple header broadcast on Tuesday afternoon. That will be at Daytona for the Daytona Duels before they have the Cyber 500 this coming Sunday as well. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflag.tv. As always, my name is Nola Rampel alongside Lucas Moody. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time with more on Green Flag TV.